We've got some
Hey, I'm Luis.
And I'm Luis.
And you're listening to the Content is Profit podcast.
We spent the last 4 years learning the strategies and techniques from some of the top marketers in the world on how to create content that turns into profit.
If you'd like to learn more about how to turn that content into profit, go to contentisprofit.com. There is a surprise there for you. Go ahead and get it.
Yep, go and claim your surprise, guys. Today, awesome guest, awesome topic. Publishing and getting promotions in a competitive marketplace.
Ooh, and I think there's a little bit more than that, but you know, that's what we could come up today with. And
hey, you guys know how we roll. We usually put a hook right there. We put a hook right there, and then we talk all the goodness, and then we go back and we change that hook.
Bonzi, let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Do we have a sponsor today?
Indeed, we do, guys.
We do.
Yes. And today's sponsored is your one and only The Biz Bros with Content Momentum. What does that mean? If you have a long form piece of content just like this one that you're listening to or watching, and you want to turn it into value-packed, bite-sized assets and send them like little minions into social media so they can get more clients for you, then we can help you, and we want to help you. So slide in our DMs at BizBrosCo on Facebook, on Instagram, and let's do it.
Sweet. Before we get started, guys, I want to ask you a quick favor. Go ahead and subscribe. Smash that subscribe button so you know when those episodes are dropping, because it's full of hashtag Golden Boulders, baby. Let's go. And don't forget to follow us on social media at BizBrosCo.
That's right. And if you find this episode impactful, which I am sure you will, don't forget to share it and leave a 5-star review. Before we start, I love how we did the unison Golden Boulder. We didn't practice that, guys. We didn't practice that.
That might become a thing from now on. Just saying.
Pretty good.
So today in Content is Profit, we have a good friend with a mind-blowing story. Not only that, but her energy is insane. We met her at an event, surprise, surprise, and she was always sitting front row asking all the right questions. And you could see in her eyes, she was ready to take off and influence people's lives.
Not only that, she has an inspiring story that she should definitely turn into a book at some point.
Yes.
Just throwing that out there. She went from being a homeless drug addict to scoring 7 management promotions within 9 years.
Baby.
Impressive. She currently oversees 2,000 employees and 41 multi-million-dollar stores. Talk about change and impact, baby.
Yes. Besides her incredible job, she is currently helping high potential employees and managers get promoted at work. I'm actually curious to see what role could content potentially play here. She is also launching the Promoted Every Year Academy to help leaders get promoted at work.
Love it. Please welcome job promotion expert, extremely inspiring entrepreneur, and the Polish legend, Rosita! What's up, Rosita? Welcome.
Welcome to the show, Rosita. We're so excited to have you here. Wow.
Thank you for having me here. I'm super excited too, and I really love the Polish legend name. That needs to stick, you know?
That will stick. If it happens in Content is Profit, that's it. That's the brand. Boom.
That's
done.
right. I just want to throw this out there, Rosita. We said before the show that we were going to roll the R. We were going to be like, Rosita!
Yes.
But
I missed it.
I guess someone missed the memo right here.
I got too excited. It's okay. It's okay. You know, we can always do it.
Yeah.
Well, Rosita, again, thank you so much. You know, we are part of the same kind of group on that we've been investing in, and it's amazing to see your growth. You have been such an inspiration. Since the first day that we saw you at that event, just asking the right questions, we're like, we need to level up our game and ask the right questions.
Yeah, the level of commitment that you had, I remember, like that stuck out to me. Just like right there in front every single time, and you were participating in every single thing. Absolutely amazing.
So,
thank you.
Absolutely. So for the audience that don't know who you are, like, who's Rosita? Like, tell us a little bit about your story. We mentioned one or two things there in the intro that might attract some eyes, and I'm very, very curious to see, you know, that part of your story and what are you doing now to help so many people?
Yeah, definitely. So, hey, my name is Rosita Szatkowska. I help managers with job promotions as my business as an entrepreneur. And, I was born and raised in Poland, moved to America at 8 years old, just raised in a regular middle-class family, Catholic family, nothing crazy, nothing over the board. And then when I got into high school, I just started hanging out with the wrong crowd. Freshman year, I just started ditching school literally within the first few weeks. And the people I was hanging out with, they were using drugs. So I started using crystal meth and cocaine literally first few weeks of me being into high school.
Wow.
And as you all know, when it comes to drugs, I mean, that can derail pretty quickly. I stopped going to school. I stopped going home. My parents didn't know what the hell to do with me, right? Because I was brought up well, I wasn't some drug addict.
Yeah.
And my parents just didn't know what the hell to do with me. So I ended up getting kicked out of high school by the end of my freshman year. And I remember around that time, I was going home from not being home for a couple of days because I was just out partying and getting high and, doing whatever the heck I want to do. And I remember going up the stairs to the condo where I was living with my mom, my parents, and I put the key in the door, and the key's not budging. So I put the key in again to the lock of the door, trying to go home, and the key's not budging. And I'm thinking, like, what the hell's going on? I can't get inside my home. And I knew that my parents were home and my mom was home because I could see the car, and that's the moment. And I was around 16 years old at the time. That's the moment that I realized that, hey, I'm homeless. I was raised in a pretty strict family and my parents just weren't having it. So from that moment on, I was just on the streets. I was sleeping at the train stations. I was in drug houses with stealing, lying, anything you could think of just to get high and to get more drugs.
Yeah.
And that was my life for the next couple of years. I was literally just on the streets, up to no good, running with gangs with just one thing in my mind is, how am I going to get high? Who am I going to go rob? What do I got to do just to get more money so I can get more drugs? And that was my life for the next few years. And when I was 18 years old, I was sitting in this room and I remember I was just coming down off of drugs. I was in a very bad mental space. Remember, I was sitting in a room. I was actually wearing like this pink T-shirt and like these blue pants that looked like jeans, but they weren't.
Yeah.
And I remember just literally falling down on my knees on the floor was like made of cement. And I remember just falling down on my knees and just praying to God to just give me a damn chance at life, to help me get out of this rock bottom. Because honestly, like, I wanted to get my life together. I wanted to have amazing relationships with my family again and have good friends. I wanted to have food on a regular basis. I wanted to have a home. Like, I wanted all these things that people want, right? Any 18-year-old wants. But reality is, I was a drug addict. I was homeless. I was running it with gangs, and I was up to no good. But I remember just falling down on my knees that day, just praying to God, like, just please give me a chance. Just praying with all my heart and soul. And of course, nothing happened, right? So I end up leaving that room a few days later, and externally, like, nothing happened. Everything was still the same, right? I was heading to a train station, like, just so I can chill over there. Like, nothing happened, but inside, I knew I was like a different person, and it's the weirdest thing to explain. I can't explain it to this day. But I knew deep inside that God gave me a chance. And from there, what I did was started applying for different jobs. Now, I stole clothes, okay, so I could make myself look presentable. I ended up just crashing at different friends' houses. And I just started applying for different jobs because I thought, well, first thing I need to do is I need to get a job. I need to do something productive with myself. So I started applying jobs, and I was always a pretty good talker, and I could present myself well. So I got hired, and these were all, like just minimum wage jobs.
Yeah.
But I got hired, and each job I got, either I didn't want to be there because I felt like I wasn't part of the team, or my boss didn't like me, Sometimes I was just working my ass off and I wasn't recognized. So I didn't really have any buy-in to be in these jobs. So I would get fired, or I just wouldn't stop, or I would just stop showing up. And at the same time, I was still dealing with my drug addiction, right? So it's not like all of a sudden I'm clean. Okay.
Yeah.
I still want to get high. I was still dealing with that. But for the next 2 years, so from about 18 to about 21, that was my life. I was just go through different jobs. I started hanging out with, with better friends per se, where I stopped hanging out with the gangbangers, and I just really started altering who I was hanging around with, because that was a big deal as well. And then finally, it was September 9th, 2009. Okay. And I was about to be 21 years old, and I got another job at a retail grocery store. And I get this job, and I'm thinking, you know what? I'm about to be 21 years old. Like, this is it. Like, I need to get my life together. I need to get a stable place to live. And I really believe that this could be the job. So I get hired, and I listen to my boss. I show up to work, and I'm just really trying to be this great employee. And 4 months into me having this job, my store manager, her name's Kimberly, this tall, thin, white lady, she calls me into her office. And I remember, I'm like, damn, I'm going to get fired again. I'm literally going into the office, dragging my tail, dragging my feet. And I go into her office, and I sit on this leather chair. And I remember looking at her. She was looking at me kind of like with her eyes down. And she's like, I'll never forget it. And she's like, Rosita. And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, I'm promoting you to a deli, bakery, sushi, and Tully's coffee department manager. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, in a store, being in charge of 4 departments with over 30 employees. And I couldn't believe it. I'm like, really? She's like, yeah, I'm promoting you. And all of a sudden, I got this promotion where now all of a sudden I'm a manager and I'm a leader. And another part, what happened in that moment is, first of all, I really wanted to make Kimberly proud, because I was yearning for that motherly love very, very much.
Yeah.
So I made a decision that I'm going to do the best I can to make her proud so she can love me, because I really started looking up to her like as my mentor. And also another point that happened was I realized that, like, I'm a leader now. I have a responsibility to my team. And that really took me on this journey of just becoming really, people use the word obsessed all the time, and I think it's overly used, but I really became, into learning how to be the best leader I can be, the best manager, best employee, and really just developing myself as a human being. And from there on, I was able to, rent a little room, because I got a nice chunk of raise. I was able to rent a little room. It was actually in a drug house, but I wasn't using anymore. Yeah. I rented a little room for $500. I went to work every day, and I just focused on leadership, on management, on my personal development. And over the next years, so by the time I hit 25, I got this huge promotion where I was all of a sudden in charge of one huge multi-million-dollar store. We're doing $1 million a week in sales. Had like 190 employees or so. So I had a couple small promotions and this big promotion. And then within the last 9 years, after just following through on these promotion strategies that I've learned, on the leadership skills, and just overall developing myself, I've been able to get these 7 management promotions within the last 9 years, and really just take me where I am now, which is overseeing, 41 multi-million-dollar stores. But what came out of that is a passion to help others get promoted. At first I was kind of unsure, do I want to help with them with leadership, with management, promotions? Yeah. Now I realized, there's a big need. People don't know how to get promoted. I see every day at work what needs to be done, myself included, what I've done and how I help my employees to get promoted. Yeah. So that's when I realized, I really want to help potential employees and managers get promoted at work. And that's kind of how my current business and my current program evolved. And, just going back about my family real quick is I have amazing relationships with my family now that I'm so proud of, my siblings. We tell each other we love each other all the time. I just have amazing relationships. I'm confident. I love my life. And that's really just thanks to the constant and never-ending improvement.
Wow.
So that was just kind of, in a nutshell, my story. I hope it didn't take too long.
Love it. We're here like,
wow.
When can we do a movie about this? Because, wow, such a crazy story. I like it.
Yes.
I know, Fonzie, you have some points there you want to highlight. But before that, I want to do a little bit of context for the audience, right? Like, just on the kind of like observer, we're creating content, you're creating content, right? But at the same time, you're sharing your story and you're being vulnerable. Like, wow, what you just shared with everybody is something that most people might just hide. They might be scared to share. Like, there might, and you're brave enough to do this. And I'm sure like you're syncing, with a lot of people where it's like, oh man, I can't relate, right? Maybe I had a crazy experience like that. Maybe I'm going through that right now. Or maybe I know people that have been there. And then that creates a great connection. So I just want to say thank you for doing that. And then let this be a lesson for everybody listening and watching right now, that we have to include these kind of stories in our own business, in our own content, in our thing, because it will help you kind of cement that relationship with your audience. So I appreciate you for bringing that up.
Yeah.
All right, Fonzie, your turn.
No, I mean, I'm going to say it's definitely
And
not
one thing, can I add something to that real quick?
Absolutely.
So I used to be super ashamed of my story, and I also didn't think that it was worthy enough to share. Like, who am I to share my story, and why is it even important? And I realized, that a lot of people do connect with my story, and I know they'll connect with yours as well. Regardless of how low you think it is, of how unoriginal, whatever that looks like, people will connect when you share your story. So definitely don't be afraid to share it. Just share it, because someone will connect and it'll make you that much more attractive.
Yes, absolutely. You know, I mean, same. I think we were on a spot where we were a little, maybe we were on the side of our stories not that special, right? Like, we hear all these other stories, right? I mean, I'm not gonna lie, like a few years back I would have listened to your story and then I would have been like, I don't want to share my story, you know? Like, I think your story is absolutely amazing, just like how you decided to change and how you took action to change, right? And now, like, how you're helping others. So first of all, I want to say thank you for the amazing story, and you are such a good storyteller, because usually I'm like taking notes here as people tell their stories, right? But I also focus on the story that I'm like, I forgot a little bit to take notes and everything.
Story masterclass right here.
Yeah, it was awesome. The way
you
like, I literally could see the whole thing as a movie in my head. It was a great story. So thank you.
Cool.
And then, of course, there are a little, I wanted to ask, actually, like, how is your relationship with your family right now? So I'm thankful too that you referred to that at the end. Yeah. Because I mean, how many years did it, pass between them pretty much telling you that, hey, this is it, you cannot come into the house, until you finally recover your relationship with them?
Oh, yeah. So about 15 and 16 is when I completely stopped talking to my parents. 19, 18, then I would try to sometimes call my dad when I needed money for like drugs or something. And he did give me in the beginning, then he stopped. So I very rarely saw him. And then I didn't really talk to my mom again till I was, till when I got my promotion, when I was working at the store as the department manager. So I was already like 21 and a half. Wow. So it was good 6 years where I had no relationships at all. And then from there, it takes time to build, because I lost their trust. I stole from them. There's so many other things I did on the backside as a drug addict. So it took time and trust to build that. And it took years. Even as years had gone by, my relationships were very weak with my family. And really within the last, I would say, 2 years was where they really just flourished, and they're just amazing. So you also got to give time for that as well, for sure.
Yeah, that's amazing, because I feel like a lot of people would maybe live and keep those feelings of resentment, like, oh, they locked me out of the house, and like they kicked me to the curb, and like, it's just difficult to live with that, right? So again, thank you for, letting people know that it's okay to, open up, ask for forgiveness, and just, try to build those super important relationships like family. Yeah. Now, the other thing I really love that you mentioned is, well, you didn't mention it per se, but it's kind of like that hustle mentality, right? And it reminded me a little bit of the Malcolm X book. There's actually a part in that book that I highlight. I was like, man, this is so key. he used to be a hustler, right? Like he lived in New York and he used like drug dealing, stealing. Again, I personally never knew anything about Malcolm X until I read his book, and I was surprised. I was like, wow, such an influential person was actually like that growing up. And, you know, what I found interesting is that the hustle mentality doesn't let you think on other possibilities, right? Because you're always chasing the money. You said, I was always thinking, who am I going to rob, right? Who am I going to get the money from so I can get the drugs? And when you live in that constant like state of stress and chasing that one thing and like not resting, you're not settling down and thinking to yourself, like, what do I need to do to change, right? So I'm curious, like, was there anything that happened besides obviously living in that part of your story? That moment when you got on your knees and you started praying, like, well, I'm curious what was going through your mind. What happened for you to settle a little bit in your mind to start thinking, I need to change?
Yeah, so, you know, I'll be honest with you guys. I was in juvenile hall at the time, and I was 18 years old, and I knew next time I do something illegal, I'm an adult now, and I'm going to go to prison or I'm going to be dead. And that's really where it really hit me, like, this is reality. And reality is my life's going to end very soon if I continue on this track. And I was just tired. It's a hard life. And I was just tired of living that way. And I just really wanted God to give me a chance. And
Wow. I want to relate this a little bit to entrepreneurship, right? Because we hear a lot of people always saying hustle, you know, like just work your butt off and never rest and sleep like 3 hours a day, right? and I think the reason why that message of hustling resonated so much with me was because I feel like I was there at a time where I was like, oh, I need to constantly be doing. And if I wasn't doing something, I felt guilty with myself that I wasn't actually doing something, right? And actually, when we started, you know, when my brother came aboard, finally full time and started helping me a little bit more. And I managed to, I can settle down more now and like see things clearly and think. That's when things started changing a lot. So for those listening, if you're in a hustle mentality, it's okay to tune it down sometimes and think, right? Like maybe, I mean, I hope you're not, you know, in a position where Rosita was, that you're about to go to jail or something worse. But you might find that yourself in a position that you're like, I'm about to be broke, right? If I don't keep going. And sometimes keep going like that, just like hustling hardcore is not the option. Like sometimes if you keep doing more of the same that is not working, I mean, the result's not going to change. You're just going to get something that's still not working. So it's good to just like tune it down and see the big picture and then plan ahead. And I think that's what you did with your story. You sat down and then you're like, okay, what are my next steps? Step number 1, let me go get a job.
Rosita, on the story topic, right? Like what made you, like what clicked for you to start sharing this, right? Because this is something that, you know, right off the bat, people are like, wow, like I never imagined anybody like sharing that kind of story, right? And we as marketers, right, we always go back, you know, your message, your story, where is it? Like, let's share it, let's be vulnerable. But because we've had people telling us to do that, right? Like our mentors, our coaches are always there. We like, and we, you know, we lead by example. So we're trying to do that as much as we can. But what happened? Like, why share your story? Like, what was that thing that motivated you to start sharing it with the world?
Yeah, well, I think that first of all, people aren't stupid and people connect with people who are authentic and real. And me, you know, coming up here or anywhere and just kind of bullshit through and, you know, give you a half story is a waste of our time, you know? So I think people connect with the authenticity of when you really, really just talk about your struggles. And at the same time, it's that you connect with someone more who's not like seen on a pedestal, you know, who's someone that's just, hey, they're just like me. You know, so like with my customers, my clients, it's like, hey, I'm just like them. I'm just a few steps ahead of where they're at. So I think it just brings you down a couple levels where people can really connect with you. Because when you're not real, people can sense that. It's, you know, we're not stupid.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I love it. So what would you say to somebody, right, that might be struggling with their message right now? Like, because, you know, for us, about a year ago, we were struggling with publishing. Like, we weren't publishing like nothing at all right now. Like, now we got to a point where we're publishing about 100 pieces of content a week. Like, we just counted, which is like, oh, that's insane, right? Like, how? But like a year ago, there was zero. Fonzie even deleted everything from our Instagram, so you guys cannot see our past. But it's like, okay, it took us like a second to get there. What would you say to people that are maybe in that position? What's the next step?
Yeah, so publishing is definitely a journey. Like when I initially started my podcast, Becoming a Top Performing Leader, which I'm relaunching as something different within the next month or so. But when I initially started my podcast last year, I think it was around January or so, I didn't know what to share either. And I felt also insecure, like, are people going to want to listen to me? So I literally just started sharing like what I know and my stories. It's like, okay, well, I know who my customer is and I know like what their struggles. At the time, I kind of knew who my customer was and what their struggles were. Yeah. And I literally just started sharing like what was going on in my life. That I could also, towards the end of the message, you know, give some type of value of what's going on in my customer's life, and then really just look at, well, what are they going through and how can my stories relate with that? So a lot for me is just really a lot of storytelling, and always making sure to somehow that story relates to whatever my customer is going through. So that's the biggest one, because even like to this day, sometimes when I write emails, I got really into doing email marketing, where I email my list, you know, at least 3-4 times a week. Everything they get from me most of the time is my stories of what I'm literally up to, and then I somehow just adjust it to what they're up to. So a few days ago, just for an example, I went to San Jose to visit family. So I wrote to my list, I said, hey, I visited my family, this and that kind of storytelling format, and this is what I got out of it. And I really got a huge piece around connecting powerfully. So I flipped that into how they should be connecting powerfully at work to get promoted. But I'm literally sharing what I'm doing. Like tomorrow morning, I'm going to write an email that I was on this podcast and how I felt about it. Then how maybe, literally. And then I'm going to flip it to, okay, what does that have to do with job promotion? Yeah. So especially if you're getting started or wherever you're at, if you're just sharing your story and then helping your customer with like towards the end with whatever they can get out of it, I mean, it works for me, and I know it works for others as well.
That's awesome.
I absolutely love, because I want to relate it to also like how we started, right? Like, I love that you mentioned email, right? And we always say publish. Like, what's the least frictionless publishing that you can do? For us, men, going Facebook Live. For you, you started a podcast, but now you're getting into email marketing. You're like, oh man, I really enjoy telling these stories in this format. And that's still publishing. You're communicating with your audience, which is great. What we have in common, though, is like the way that we publish, because you're like, hey, I'm just telling a story of what happened today. I'm going to relate it to my business. That's literally exact same formula that we used about a year ago that led us to this. So we're like, you know, I don't want to sit down and have to plan out my whole content and my 4 pillars and blah, blah, blah. That can come later, right? But to get started, remove the freaking friction, right? and I remember Fonzie setting up on his, you know, desk and the camera and the light, because, you know, he's bougie like that. But but I was like, but at the same time, it's like the message, right? It was that thing. So we were sharing stuff that was happening on a day to day, and then we would relate it to our business. So, I love this because it's the same framework that you were also using. So please, if you're listening right now and you're starting to publish, go try it out. Be consistent. Do what day in, day out. You know, like Rosita is doing every, you know, couple days. She sends that email. Tell a story, and you get to practice. You get to get better over time. People get to know you. And then they start asking you, how can we work together, right? So it's so amazing.
I love that you brought email marketing, because I know my brother is laughing right now because of I've been trying to get into it. And the worst part is, like, I know in the back of my head that is the same framework that we use for 45 Live, which was the same one that you're explaining. I'm like, I just need to tell the story related to what we're doing, right? And I'm not doing it, right? I'm just not taking action in the back of my head. And the worst thing is that I'm actually enjoying writing. I'm not naturally a writer, but I enjoy doing it, right? And I know I'll get better as I do it. But I've been just like putting it on the, how do you say? Put it on the burner, on the top burner, something like that. What is the
on the burner. Yeah.
I mean, you are literally putting it on the trash because it's not going out anywhere, man. Come on.
Yeah.
Few things regarding email marketing, because I've actually fell in love with it too, completely randomly. For a while, I was writing my emails. Sunday was my content day. Sunday, I would give my day. I would write my emails for the week. I would write 5 emails. I would create value posts. I would do my podcast episode. It was all content day, right?
Yeah.
And I realized the emails that I would write that were kind of pre-written, they weren't getting that much engagement. The open rates weren't that good because it was all pre-written, and I was just kind of okay, this is how to communicate better. Step 1, 2, 3, 4. That's not engaging. And when I stopped doing that and I really got into storytelling, first of all, I don't write all my emails on Sunday. Now I wake up, and before I go to my corporate management job, I literally give myself 10 minutes to write the email. It's nothing crazy, nothing super long. I just sit down before I literally leave the house, and I just type up the email. And then I just send it off to my list. And that's what kind of helps me stay on track. So for you, maybe you put in your phone that you're going to write email Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8:45 a.m. before you start doing your regular job or whatever.
Are you listening to Rosita? Sorry, Rosita.
You know what I mean?
Are you listening, Fonzie?
I am. Listening intently right now.
Okay, because somebody else has to tell him that because Luisa here, older brother, told him to do that, and he's not listening. So thank you, Rosita. Don't tell him I paid you to say that. No, I'm kidding. For the audience, I did not pay Rosita to say that. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, so it just works. And with the email writing, I know my email writing isn't the best, right? But it's much better than it freaking was a year ago.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you just got to start. We all start somewhere. And I still have a whole long way to go too. But at least as long as you're making progress, constant, never-ending improvement, you're not going to recognize where your writing is, a year from now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely right. And I love because that is the same message that we share with Facebook Live, with videos, right? At first, we put it off as well for a while, and then we started doing it, and we started noticing getting better and everything. And now it's funny how same thing, literally it's same framework, different medium, and I'm back to that mindset. Well, I'm not anymore. Today changed, Rosita. I just changed my mindset.
Yeah.
But I was in that mindset of, okay, maybe I should wait or should I do a little better, right? So it's funny how just the medium changes.
Can be intimidating,
Can be intimidating. And talking about intimidating, right? I'm curious, the people that you help, right? What are some of the challenges that they find, trying to get these promotions? And I want to relate it a little bit to content too. I'm curious to actually know, does content plays a role in this, aspect of trying to get a promotion in work? Because I've actually seen a lot of CEOs, really big people in companies, that they have their own newsletters, right? And they use it to not only share the progress of the company, but just share their ideas. So I find that super interesting because obviously I don't think that existed a few years back. I think that's something that's been evolving in the past few years. So what is that role, and what does these people that you're helping with find intimidating?
So just overall with job promotions, most of my customers, they're passed up. So they're just pissed off because they've been passed up. They're all hard workers, right? They all have gotten these great reviews, but what they keep getting passed up, they're not getting promoted. And a lot of it is people just don't know that they need to talk to their boss. They don't know that they need to follow up with their boss about a promotion. There's just certain things. I have these three pillars. It's personal power, and then it's positioning and visibility, and then performance and leadership. So first of all, what I teach is with personal power, you got to have the confidence to get promoted. And I got to tell you, almost every single person that I've ever talked to or done my research in the past or just talked to my clients, number one struggle they have is with confidence.
Wow.
They don't believe they can get promoted, especially if they just got passed up or they keep getting passed up. So I definitely teach a lot around confidence. Mindset is huge because if you don't, believe you can do it in here, you're not going to take the action. So that's super important. So just overall around personal power, your daily routines. Yeah. When you show up to work every morning, you got to be ready to go, right? You suit up and show up. You got to have a good attitude. You got to be energetic. You got to be ready to go. So that's pretty much around personal power that I teach, that I help my customers. Second pillar is positioning and visibility. So like I said earlier, talking to your boss, knowing what to say to your boss, so that way they know that you're serious about getting promoted. Having what I call a career fast track plan.
Yeah.
You got to have a plan on what you got to do to get promoted. What skills do you got to improve on? What special project are you going to take on that's not busy work? Okay. No one has time for busy work, but special projects are very important to get promoted, especially the higher you move up. And just really how to be visible, right? How to stand out to the decision makers. And then lastly, performance and leadership. Performance matters. Okay. If your results suck, you're not getting promoted. It's just what it is. Performance matters. But the reason hard workers and high performers don't get promoted is because they're missing usually personal power or positioning and visibility. So I definitely teach around performance and just around being a leader and being in a management role. So those are the three pillars that I teach around. And then my program that I'm launching, Promoted Every Year Academy. That's exactly what it's about, baby. It's all about those three pillars and what exact steps you got to take to get promoted. So super excited for that.
That is super cool. And I can actually see. The other day I received an email from Seth Godin. For people out there, he didn't send it to me personally. Hopefully, he will send it to me personally, right? I'm on his email list. I got an email from Seth Godin.
Yeah.
And it was actually, I don't remember the exact headline, but it was along the lines of everybody's a marketer. And I was like, interesting. So I started reading it, and I love his emails. They're like short, sweet, straight to the point. And he was telling like, hey, do you own a business and you're trying, to get new clients? You're a marketer. Do you have a relationship? You're a marketer. All these things. Do you have a job? You're a marketer. And I was like, man, that is so cool. So now that I'm listening to you, I'm like, you are literally training them to be marketers of themselves, right? And when you said positioning, I was like, that's it. Like, that's true. Because how many times, right? And I mean, from experience, my job experience is very limited because I've had very little jobs before jumping into entrepreneurship and our own business.
Like zero.
Yeah, pretty much.
One job.
Yeah, it was one job actually. It was two jobs.
And I promoted you.
2 jobs. That's funny. Yeah, actually, you promoted me.
Good job.
Yeah. So I guess pillar number 4 is go work where your brother is. Nah, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
But I found this super interesting because you're teaching these people not only to be confident and go and ask and get what they want, but how to do it in a smart way, right? Like position yourself, right? How are you selling yourself to your boss? So when he's about to promote someone, you are the best option available, right? Not only the best, maybe the different one, right? What we've been learning in marketing. So I found that approach super interesting, and I invite everybody that is listening to this, whether you have a job or your own business, is to know that you are a marketer no matter what. If you're trying to influence someone's decision in something, you are a marketer, and you need to learn these pillars that Rosita's talking about.
Here's a thought, right? Like if you have your own business and you still have a job, which many of us did, maybe a lot of the people listening right now do that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, what a great way to increase your income, right?
Yeah.
So you can continue to fund your business and eventually, move to that full time if that's your passion.
Absolutely.
Instead of, sticking to the same job that's paying the same amount of money that might not be helping you develop your business. So this I see as a very fast way, and I can relate because in my personal story, I started on the fitness industry just part-time selling memberships. And I guess I wasn't planning on it, but things were put in place. And now as I listen to you talking and these pillars, there's elements of those that I implemented because of the way that I am, right? Like that because of what I've been learning throughout my career and being an athlete. And I see a lot of parallelism with being a soccer player. And playing a sport, because then you go to the workforce, and that's why the workforce loves either military or athletes, right? Because of the things traits that they bring. So, and then that escalated very quickly to now, managing several studios to now going full time here. But the promotion allowed me to have some wiggle room on the money side. So then I could go dedicate my time to my other business. So I think this is so powerful, even not only for the people that are not only for the people that are full-time entrepreneurs, but also for the people that are working and, dabbling into entrepreneurship.
Yeah, you know what the part that I really loved too was knowing what skills you need to develop. Because I don't think I mean, again, my experience is very limited, but at the jobs that I was, nobody ever told me like, hey, this is a good roadmap of skills that you need to take to thrive at this job and go on to the next level, right? Like the first job that I had. Sorry, go on.
And that's the thing. No one's going to tell you that, especially if you want to get promoted. That's why you have to step out and you have to ask. First of all, you should also know, like, if you're really struggling with, let's say, collaboration, you should know that so that way you can improve. But that's why you have those conversations with your boss, and you got to ask, because no one's going to tap on your shoulder and say, you know what, Rosita, you're really struggling with communication. That's why I'm not going to promote you. Like, no one does that. You have to take the initiative and be driven to do that on your own if you want to have more success and make more money. Yeah.
So talking about initiative, right? I mean, of course, there's people that they have tons of initiative and there's people that lack a lot of initiative. But do you think the workplace could do a better job at letting them know what skills they should develop? Or maybe it's better if they don't tell them, because then the people that have initiative will rise up to the top?
That's a good question. I think, I as a manager and a leader, I communicate with my employees, especially the ones that I do see that are, high potential, what they should work on. Not everyone does that. But I think employees should know, and you should know what skills you got to work on for sure. Yeah. And it's for sure. Yeah. Because that's how you improve. That's how you get better.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's good to know, because, and I'm asking these questions a little bit for selfish reasons, because, we have now a team. And obviously, we want to help them develop and be the best that they can be, right? And it's actually pretty funny that so we had one team member that within like a month, he left the team to do his own thing, right? Like in great terms. But when we started hiring, I told my brother, I'm like, dude, I have a feeling that when they get involved with us and like the type of content that we deal and our clients, I'm afraid they might get, like that fire inside and be like, I want to go and do my own thing. Literally within a month, because this guy was being, like
indoctrinated by our clients. Amazing content, like great value.
Yeah, exactly. And in a month, effectively, he was like, hey guys, like I really appreciate it. Like, but I want to try to do my own thing. And I was like, hey, that's awesome. Go ahead. Like you're developing yourself. That's super cool. And that actually made me feel really good, because it was like we're helping other people, like build other people, which is absolutely amazing. Now, my question.
One thing as a leader, don't hold people back. And that's sort of thing that I've had some employees sometimes where they're so good and I don't want them to get promoted and move somewhere else, right? Yeah. But it's like, but as a leader, that's our job. It's our job to help coach, train, mentor our employees and let them, maybe they will leave your company because they're so good now. Yeah. Well, it is a loss to you, to your business, but end of the day, like you helped develop this person and now they can do their own thing. So don't ever hold people back for sure. Yeah. That just shows what kind of a great leader you are. If you have people that, want to leave the company because they're so good now.
Thank you.
I know we told him, like, dude, the door's always open.
Yeah, the door's open whenever you want to come back.
Give us a call. And he hasn't called yet. So, Juan, just saying, I know you watch the show.
Yeah, Juan, if you're listening, give us a call. And that what you just said, it reminded me of a comment. I don't remember who said it, but it was kind of like, because a lot of people, I feel like they debate on, do I really want to teach all these things to my employee? Because what if they leave, right? And I don't remember who was it, but they were saying, I prefer to teach them and for them to leave that never teach them or develop them and for them to stay. Yeah, right?
It was like, what if they stay and you don't teach them everything, right? I think it was Myron.
It was Myron, maybe. I mean, he's full of wisdom. Yeah. But I guess my next question, Rosita, is does content plays a role? Like, how do you see, and I know this is probably, it's a new question. It might be a new question. I don't know. But how does content plays a role in employees? Does it help them build new skill sets? Does it help them, kind of like have like a resume of experience that people can come in and see what they're doing, what they're about? I'm just curious, honestly.
So I missed the first part of the question. The screen froze.
Oh, sorry. So what is the role of content with these people that are trying to get promotions, if there's any, right? Because I feel like nowadays, you know, for example, designers, they create their designs and everything, and they have these portfolios, and then you can go and watch and see what they do. Is it the same way for people in other industries, other type of jobs?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Well, for me, because as an entrepreneur, I'm helping these people get promoted. So the content I'm sharing with them, it does help them with their skills or their mindset, whatever that looks like. And the hope is that they do take that back to their job and implement it, so that way they can actually get their results. But I'm not sure. I mean, does that answer your question?
Yeah, I was more curious on your client side. Do you
internally?
Yeah, like themselves. Do you think creating content for them would be beneficial to achieve promotions, or would that cause any conflict? I'm just honestly, is that super random, curious question?
Well, yeah, because when I think of content, I email my list, I do social posts, podcasting. So that's all the content, all the value that I give them to get promoted.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how you add value, is through content. So hell yeah, of course. Yeah.
I see.
For sure.
Yeah, thank you. I see that as like a value add, right? Like see yourself as, obviously you are the product, right? Because you're the one that executes on that specific position. And then it's like, okay, what can I bring to the table, right? Like how can I sell myself to my boss or whoever? Like what's the next step, right? How can I add value to this relationship, to this company, right? Because I loved where I worked, right? I would have done anything, right? Like a circumstance changed to like external reasons, right? That made me like make the move faster than I would have wanted to. But I remember every single day thinking like, wow, like what else can I do to add value to like my job, my daily operation, my staff, my boss, right? And maybe it's that constant thing. And if content can play a part on that, it's like, hey, can I promote, you know, the daily activities that we do here in the office? How can we connect with our clients? How can we connect with our audience, right? Yeah. And I think on my side, I think that's where content kind of plays a part into.
Interesting, yeah.
On you is just like a value add for you as an employee, just, you know, helping the company, right? So
it kind of reminds me of, Rosita, do you like Formula One by any chance?
I'm not super into it, but I like it, yeah.
All right, so there's this guy, his name is Lando Norris, he's like 19-year-old. So he's a 19-year-old running Formula One, you know, driving a car, 300 kilometers per hour, no big deal.
One of the top 20 drivers in the world, right? 19 years old.
Yeah, so this guy, I think he's the first one, actually, that comes in, and he has such a big social media presence. He runs for McLaren, for the team McLaren, and my brother and I, we constantly tell ourselves, like, I'm sure one of the reasons, like a value add that made McLaren sign this 19-year-old was that this guy has such a big presence online, and he produces content by himself. Like, he does everything, right?
Following,
because now what it does is it is adding a lot of value, visibility to the team, to McLaren, right?
To the brand.
To the brand. And so obviously a lot of people are going to be like, whoa, but I don't drive Formula One. Yes. Okay. For other jobs.
Don't be stupid. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
For other jobs, like my brother was saying, like, how can I add value, right? So if you're a salesman, and maybe you have a blog about sales, right? I don't know. I'm trying to connect the dots here. And maybe I'm trying to connect the dots like too much, but that's where my mind's going.
You're good. And I see what you guys are saying. I mean, obviously, honestly, in the corporate world, I don't see a lot of that unless, you know, the person's trying to become like an influencer or have a business on the side. I don't see, you know, like employees doing stuff really on social to promote like their company. But I get what you're talking about, but not really in the
Here's an idea.
World.
Interesting.
Here's an idea. And again, we're spitballing here. And like, if you're part of the audience and they're listening and watching, send us your messages. Like, how can you like integrate content to your day to day, right? But here's an idea. What if like you're in charge of like, let's say 14 people, right? And then why don't you promote content, like produce content for them, right? Like, hey, here are 5 different tips on how to do X, Y, Z, right? Like how to be a little bit more effective. Like you as a boss, like they're your audience, right? Like, and let me help them. How can I add value to my staff? And now you're building rapport with them, they're helping you, and then you're helping developing them so they can move up, right? Like that's a way that I might be able to see it. I don't know. Is it possible? Is it not possible?
So with that, like, because that just reminds me, so like I send out emails to my teams in my corporate management job, and a lot of times there are tips in there, whatever that looks like. So I guess that is one way that I share content with my team here, you know, is just I do email them with certain tips or whatever roadmaps I got to give them to be more successful. So yeah, I think content's everywhere, no matter what you're doing. There's a different ways of content for sure. Yeah.
Oh man, Rosita,
that's awesome.
Such a fascinating like topic. I think it's the first time that we touch it at this level.
Yeah.
It was a complete like different type of content that we normally, but it's so valid too, because you know you're advertising yourself to like get this promotion. So hey, if you're listening and you're in need for this, please contact Rosita. We're gonna leave the links, and we're gonna ask you in just a second how do they can reach to you. But I want to ask you a question
before you go in the last questions here. I'm curious, Rosita, because I know obviously managing 2,000 employees must not be easy, while at the same time, you know, running this business. How do you manage it all?
Yeah, so it all comes down to having a really good time management. You know, I have my corporate management job Monday through Friday, and I work like 7:30 to 5 every day, roughly.
Wow.
I get a lunch every day, so I work on my business stuff. Like this is my lunch right now. I usually do like podcast episodes or something on my lunch if I'm, you know, getting interviewed, whatever that looks like. And then I have some time dedicated in the morning. My weekends, like I'll have a Sunday that's dedicated strictly to my business. And I still also take like full Saturdays off from both jobs. So I still have time to take care of myself and, you know, have time with family. So I think, you know, managing also, you know, spending some time in the morning and the afternoons, really focusing just on what's important. Like I don't have time to waste, right? So I really look at what do I need to do today to take my business closer to where it needs to be. And that's all I focus on. So making sure that you're only focusing on what's most important. And sometimes I'll have something on my calendar that I thought I needed to do, but I'm like, you know what? It's not that important. I'm going to move it a couple weeks away. I have everything on my calendar, and I always plan out at least a week in advance. So on Fridays, I have my whole next week planned out. So I know what I'm going to do for my business Monday morning, Wednesday morning, Saturday, whatever that looks like. And then I also like when I have longer tasks, like right now I'm creating a webinar and it just takes a lot of time and needs my energy. I give that for my Sunday work day because I know I can wake up in the morning and just work on this for a bunch of hours and get it done, you know, and then throughout the week, it's more like publishing, email writing, little things here and there. So prioritization is huge. Don't get stuck in infobesity trap, you know, buying all these different courses and, you know, trying to do this and that. Just follow a couple people and just listen to what they're saying and just stick with that, you know, because it's so easy to get caught up in everything that's out there, all those shiny objects and everything. So, you know, even like who you're getting emails from, you know, how many people are you getting emails from? You know, recently I unsubscribed from a bunch because I either delete them at the moment or maybe I'm not at that level yet, whatever it looks like. Just focusing literally where am I at right now in my business and who's going to get me closer to whatever next step I have and just tunnel vision, you know, and that's pretty much what's helped me within the last really year and a half or so.
If somebody has an excuse right now, go away.
We're gonna send them this clip. Don't go away. Listen to this clip, and then
I'm a little more aggressive. Bam. Just go away. When you're ready, come back, and we'll show you the clip. You know, when you work on your mind stuff. Because, I mean, there's no excuses, Rosita. Wow, this is also very motivating to us, extremely driven, and you have a very clear path. You have a very clear goal. You know who you're helping. Like, you're taking action, right? Like, right now, moving the needle, which is incredible, on a consistent basis, and you are truly an inspiration. I hope this helps people listening right now that are going through a similar phase, like, oh, I don't have time to, well, Rosita has time to manage 2,000 people, and then go in and invest in their business and time and publishing, too, which is so important. So thank you for bringing that into perspective. And again, I'm sorry, if you're listening, don't go away, listen to Fonzie, come back and watch this clip.
You're so valid, dude.
I got so motivated. I got so good. Yeah, sorry, tough love from Luisa here.
Yeah, all right, time for the last couple questions.
For the last couple of questions. Rosita, share with us, like, what's an action point that somebody can do today to kind of move forward, right? What's a quick win that they can do?
With what? With content publishing or with what?
Whatever you feel like.
Let's do one of each. One with content and one for those that are looking to get that promotion.
There you go.
Hey, for content, just publish, just do something, right? Just do a post, do a live, do a Facebook live, do a podcast, wherever your audience is. Just do it, just do it. That's the best thing advice I can give you. And with getting promoted, my best advice to you right now, if you want to get promoted, is talk to your boss. Just have that conversation. Say, hey, I want to get promoted. What do I need to do to get there? Yeah.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
I love it.
Things.
Hey, simple.
Simple things.
Yes.
The other day, and I actually told this story in a call that I had yesterday, and we were watching a documentary on the worst team in the world, FC Barcelona, right here. But they had this really influential guy that changed the philosophy of the club, and I'll say he might have even changed soccer, period.
In the world, yeah.
Yeah, and he was saying the team that wins the most is the one that can do the simple things consistently.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And in soccer, that is passing the ball. So the team that can pass the ball the most consistently, right, is the one that's going to win. So when you're telling me this, is the simple things, is communication, right? And sometimes we just overlook that. Maybe we have some feelings on the back, like me, that I'm scared of sending those emails. Well, don't be afraid and go and have that conversation with your boss.
Yes.
Yeah, do it, please.
Yes.
Do it, Fonzie.
I will be sending an email. Rosita, when I send that email, I'm going to send it to you as well. And then just so you're proud of me.
I know. Awesome, Rosita. Baby, our favorite question here. Where will you be if you did not publish?
Where would I be if I didn't publish?
Yep.
What do you mean?
Like, where would you be if you weren't creating any sort of content?
Like if I weren't doing job promotions?
In your life, in your business.
Oh, in my life. I guess nowhere, because you got to do content.
That's funny. You mentioned at the beginning that when you started getting your promotions, that's when you felt like that this is what I need, I can help others with. Yeah. Right? Do you think, I still think, because at that moment you didn't publish. So I think that feeling might still be there. But how would you communicate that feeling? That's my question.
Oh, you're saying, I guess just have one-on-one conversations. Because publishing so easy with content publishing, because you can do podcasts, emails. It's to a lot of people, but if you're just by yourself, I guess just one-on-one conversations. Yeah, I don't know if that answers your question.
Perfect.
I see you on a mission, right? Like, and we talk often on that hourglass effect. Like, you could talk to one person, right, and then that positive impact can't spread out. But, with publishing what you've done with your show, or even now with your email marketing, I receive your emails. I enjoy them. It's so awesome, right? And it just puts a smile on my face. And it's like, man, I can turn around and we can communicate that with our team. And then that causes a massive, awesome effect, right? If that translates into later on, I probably won't be able to be promoted because there's nobody above us.
I am above you.
But at the same time, it's creating such a positive impact. So I can only imagine what is that impact that is creating on your dream customer, right? So I think it helps the mission, right, of what you're trying to achieve, or what you will achieve, or what you are achieving right now. And it's so powerful. So thank you for sharing all your stories, all your lessons today, the pillars. Amazing. So awesome. How can people connect with you, Rosita? How can they, find out more about what you do and your programs and your launch that's coming up?
Yeah, I think best thing is just to get on my email list. I don't know if you guys are going to drop a link. It's rositaszatkowska.com/list. So they'll drop a link. It's my first name, last name.com/list. Just subscribe to my list, and that way in there I communicate everything that's going on. And I think that's the best way. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, we'll let the link. I think, you know what? I'm embarrassed to share this, Rosita. I'm not on your email list yet.
This is your chance.
I'm gonna go sign up right after this.
Awesome.
I win the Best Brother Award today, Rosita. Thank you.
But yeah, definitely encourage everybody that is listening to this to go and contact Rosita and talk to her because, I mean, besides it's inspiring, she knows what she's doing and she is definitely going to help you get that promotion that you've been looking for.
So just scroll down. The link is going to be right in the description and get in contact. All right. Guys.
Yeah,
awesome.
that's
Rosita,
it. That's
Thank you. You guys are awesome. Thanks so much. I love your energy, by the way. I love your energy and your charisma. You guys are great.
Thank you.
We love you. Just so you know, we were like, we need to step it up today because Rosita's coming and she has awesome energy.
I know. Don't leave yet, Rosita, because you need to be part of the Hispanic experience of the goodbye. We gotta share like those stories, but we'll share it later. But with that being said, thank you so much for tuning into the Content is Profit podcast. Go ahead and subscribe, hit smash it, and follow us on social media at Beats Roscoe.
That is right. And if you find this episode impactful, which I am sure you did, don't forget to share it and leave a 5-star review. Thank you.
Bye.